I just wanted to jump on here real quickly. We currently have massive evacuations because of fires here in the inland Pacific Northwest. And I know in the past in my live videos and on my YouTube channel, I've posted tips and hints and ideas and thoughts and suggestions for being prepared and things you can do to better be ready to evacuate. For whatever the emergency might be. Even now in other places where there's flooding and the hurricanes hitting, doesn't really matter what the natural disaster is. People need to be more ready. And I just saw this in a group I'm with where we help evacuate with trailers and so on. This is a posting that someone made last night. I'm going to give you a second. Go ahead and pause the video to read this. So, as someone who goes in and helps evacuate, you need to understand that, even if you have never been in a natural disaster or thought that it would reach you, or you've lived somewhere for 20 years and it's never happened before, does not mean that you need to be any less ready for the potential of something happening. And the biggest aspect that I try and highlight and bold and underline and help other people recognize is just because you have one way of doing things with your horse does not mean in the time of emergency that that is actually going to help the horse if you are not there to either handle the horse, or if you don't have the luxury of time, if it takes you quite a while to either catch the horse, get near a horse trailer, load into the trailer without chaos or without that horse potentially hurting itself. And, for a lot of folks, unfortunately, when they are in an emergency situation, they become mentally anticipative, they become fearful, they're physically tight, and so the quality of their communication diminishes. So if in the first place you're already tiptoeing around what I call the basic handling of horses, which includes catching, leading, loading in the trailer, standing tied, and so on, then you are doing a disservice to your horse, because in the time of emergency, the communication is only going to get worse and you have less chance of being able to help your horse. And certainly if you don't have access to get to your home and load the horse yourself, or you're relying on someone else with a trailer to load your horse for you, you cannot expect that they will do anything in the same way. And again, with the time limit, there is going to be a certain energy and urgency in how they do things. And your horse needs to be okay with it, not out of teaching obedience, but out of giving your horse the chance to survive the situation. I cannot tell you how heartbreaking it is to watch horses have to be left behind or turned loose and having no idea if that horse has the life skills to be able to make it, because someone didn't put in the time and effort and energy and priority to help their horse learn the crucial skills of something as basic as loading into a horse trailer, because they never imagined a natural disaster might happen, or they never thought they'd have to leave their remote location. This is not something that people like to think about. Most people avoid dealing with loading their horse. If it stresses the human out, they make it about the human experience, as opposed to saying, am I educating the horse so that no matter the situation, I can help him through a scenario? And again, there are many horses that wind up having to be used with, a lot of force or pressure in an emergency to get them to load, because they're not okay with loading. But then imagine what happens on the other side. So now they're in with a bunch of horses, or maybe just by themselves. They get hauled to a new location. You're still typically in an area being affected by smoke. You have the chaos of all the other horses that are in a new place. Can that horse stand tied? Can that horse stand in a pen by himself? Can that horse be okay if he has to be corralled with other horses, because there's just a lack of room for the number of horses that are being evacuated? So please, for the sake of your horse, whether or not you're being affected by these current fires that are happening here, think of it as the kindest thing you can do for your horse in the future, for whatever scenario may come up. And honestly, whether it's an emergency or not, if people put more effort and more time and more priority into creating the fundamental tools of being able to communicate clearly with the horse without triggering fear, without triggering defensiveness, they would have mentally and physically adaptable and willing horses, whether or not it was an emergency, and a lot higher chance of helping that horse escape and find safety. So just your PSA, please favorite this video, please share this video, please educate others, whether or not it's a comfortable topic to discuss or to bring up. Thank you.